on the line can answer any questions the board may have.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'm going to move to approve.
Do I have a
Aldermen
second?
second.
Thank you. All right. So who's present?
I believe Mr. Cortez is present.
Yeah,
Okay.
Carlos Cortez is here.
All right, Mr. Cortez, would you like to tell us a little bit about your plans?
Yes, sir. 35 North, it's going to be going into Admiral's Corner, hopefully in the near term. Our goal is to create a fun, family-friendly entertainment venue destination in the center of Farragut. With that, we would like to be able to serve beer. I know that it's going to be a full-service bar, coupled with an indoor-outdoor space, a courtyard, fireplace, and serviced by food trucks as our main food venue item. We're excited to be here. We're excited to be a part of Farragut. I've been a longtime resident, along with both my partners, Doug Justice and Don Coffey. So we're excited to get to this point and be in front of you guys.
Great, we're very excited. We're all rooting for you to quickly open. The rest of the board members, are there any questions or comments?
I had one comment. Carlos, I wanted to thank you all for your patience and your input and sticking through the process. Obviously, this is a new ordinance for us, and we had to work through quite a bit of stuff. So, and our staff did a lot of research, but hopefully we've built an ordinance that certainly supports what you guys are trying to do. And we really appreciate your input and the willingness to give Farragut a chance. I think this is going to be a wonderful business in the heart of our town. And you really have given us a boost on that corner. So thank you.
And thank you to the town, to the staff for supporting us. It has been a very smooth, interesting process. I haven't been a part of one of these before, so hats off. It's been great. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? All right, Carl, I do want to make sure that you understand. I don't know if you've had any other businesses where you've served alcohol. You may have, but
sir,
again, we're very, okay. Well, we are very concerned about the fact that we do not want alcohol served to minors. So we hope that your staff goes through all the proper training. And when you go to pick up your permit, Allison at the town hall will have a packet for you. It'll be a training type packet to help with the training of your personnel. And we really are excited about you opening and can't wait for that day. And we're just going to wish you well and good luck.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we need a roll call vote, please.
Yes, sir. Vice Mayor Pavlin?
Vice Mayor Pavlin, yes.
Alderman Meyer?
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Alderman Pinchot?
Alderman Pinchot, yeah.
And Mayor Williams? Mayor Williams? Can't tell if he's there or not. Mayor Williams? Well, you have 3 votes, Alderman Pinchot, if you want to move it forward.
All right, motion passes. Carlos, again, good luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Is there any other questions or business for the beer board? If not, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
What I mean, it's got the audio, but I can't. It doesn't show the picture. I know there's some. I don't understand what's happening. I mean, I had to call in. Oh, you know what? I never.
We can still hear Allison.
they can hear me, which is great. I don't know why. I don't know what's happening. Can you hear me now?
Can she hear? Can she hear us?
Okay, can you hear me okay now?
I hear you, Ron.
Okay,
Yeah, we hear you.
got it
It's
fixed.
good to see you, Daryl. Are you back? You're back in the office?
Yes, I'm here. I had some trouble getting on too, being able to hear.
Okay.
Be weather related.
Might also be operator error.
That's very possible.
You'll hear me?
Mine was likely OE.
It would have been in my case.
On the first case, on the first run through, my volume was turned all the way down. But it's good now, I think.
Yeah, you're fine,
There's
Daryl.
Allison.
Okay. Looks like the time is approximately 7 p.m. and the September 24th, 2020 Farragut Board of Mayor and Aldermen will now come to order. We'll be operating on Governor Lee's Executive Order number 16/345160 due to the COVID pandemic. Executive Order 16 concerning electronic means, which has been extended by Executive Order 34, which is now extended by Executive Order 51, which has now been extended by Executive Order number 60. It shall remain in effect until 11:59 p.m. Central Daylight Time, October 28th, 2020, which that time it is scheduled to expire. In accordance with the executive order, live access to the virtual meeting is made available through Charter Channel 193 or TDS Channel 3. During this period of time, all Farragut citizens or forum items and questions, along with the name and address, should be emailed to comments@townoffarragut.org and should have been received by 12 p.m. the day of the meeting in order to be included in the record for that night's meeting. All Farragut Board of Mayor and Aldermen meetings will be public notice per Tennessee state law. They will also be recorded and can be viewed later on Town of Farragut YouTube channel. To the governor's executive order, all votes taken tonight will be by roll call vote. I will now ask the recorder to please take an attendance roll call for a quorum.
Yes, sir. I have Alderman Pinchuk,
Alderman Pinchuk present.
Alderman Poblin,
Alderman Poblin present.
Alderman Burnett. I think he's having problems like I'm having. Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer here.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams present. Okay, do we have any other press online?
Yes, sir. It looks like we have Gabby and Tammy, and I believe that's all I can see.
Okay. And see agenda. Is there any agenda amendments tonight?
No, sir.
None? Okay, then I'll ask for a motion to approve the September 24th, 2020 agenda as posted.
Move to approve.
I will second it. Alderman Pinchuk.
Okay, now ask the town recorder to roll call vote, please.
Alderman Pinchuk.
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Alderman Poblin.
Alderman Poblin, yes.
Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show September 24th, 2020 agenda has been approved by unanimous vote. Okay, for the minutes, I'll now ask for a motion to approve the September 10th, 2020 minutes as presented.
I'm going to move to approve.
Alderman Pinchuk, second.
Okay. Let's see. And I'll now ask for a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Poplin.
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Alderman Pinchuk.
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Has Alderman Burnett been able to connect? And Mayor Williams.
Mayor, yes. And let the record show that the official minutes of the meeting have been approved. Okay, on the mayor's report, I'll start off with a reminder again to urge everyone to stay with physical distancing and face covering when you're with each other, particularly those who have pre-existing conditions, as they seem to be the main ones that's having the most input from the virus. Thank you. It looks like okay, I've just been told that there is no video or sound coming from TD. So that's the last of the mayor's report. I'll now turn it over to the vice mayor for her report.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay, any other agenda, any other report from any of the aldermen that's not on the agenda?
I have none.
Okay,
Nothing here.
nothing there. Okay, and we've not got Alderman Burnett yet, so we'll now move on. We have a full slate tonight, and okay, we'll start off. We have 5 ordinances to review with the public hearing tonight. The first 4 to review will be on second reading. Okay, first one is Ordinance 20-12, ordinance to rezone the property at 11824 Kingston Pike, parcel 025, tax map 152C, group J, 1.81 from office to general single family residential R2, at 01 office to R2. Troy and Evangelia Starvos is the applicant.
Yes, sir, Mayor. This is a rezoning request for the property immediately behind on Federal Boulevard, behind First Bank and the West Knox Chamber of Commerce properties. They're seeking to rezone this property from office 01 to general single family residential, which is R2. This contains an existing residential structure that had been converted to use as a small office, and the applicants intend to convert the structure back to a residence and will probably subdivide this in the future. The property does abut R2 zoned residential lots to the south and the west, and 2 commercially C1 zone lots to the north. The proposed zoning would be consistent with the future land use plan and the existing land use and development pattern in the area. There are no changes from first reading, so staff would recommend approval on second reading.
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay. Now I'll ask the town recorder now to read in any questions or comments.
There are no questions or comments for this item.
Okay, then we'll move to discussion. We'll start off Vice Mayor Pavlin.
I have nothing.
Okay, Alderman Meyer.
Okay.
Alderman Meyer, pass.
Okay, Alderman Penn.
Alderman Pinchuk, I pass.
Do we have Alderman Burnett yet? Not so. I have no questions or comments as well. So with a motion and a second, I'll ask town recorder for a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Pinchuk.
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Alderman Poplin.
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Okay, let the record show the ordinance 20-12 has been approved on the second reading. 3 to 1. And next will be ordinance 20-13, an ordinance to rezone parcel 021.03 and portion of parcel 021.01 tax map 153 from R1 rural residential to R2 general single family residential. That's 7.35 acres, and Rackley Engineering is the applicant.
Change the property zoning from rural residential R1 to general single family to residential R2. There will be a public street that will be accessed from Turkey Creek Road into the property. And the zoning district requested would be consistent with the area around the Inverness subdivision that it's currently, you can see on your screen, R2 in the yellow there. It's also consistent with the future land use map of very low density residential of 1 to 2 dwelling units per acre. And staff would recommend approval of this ordinance on second reading. There have been no changes since first reading. I believe the applicant is on the line too, if there's any questions for them.
I'm going to move to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any resident questions or comments?
No, sir.
Hey, thank you. Discussion, we'll start out with myself, and I have no questions. Vice Mayor Pavlin?
I have no questions.
Alderman Meyer?
Alderman Meyer, pass.
Alderman Pinchot?
Alderman Pinchot, I pass.
Do we have Alderman Burnett yet? No, we don't. Okay. Okay. With a motion second, would town recorder please take a roll call vote?
Alderman Pavlin.
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Alderman Pinchot.
Alderman Pinchot, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Okay, let the record show that the ordinance 20-13 has been approved on the second reading. Next will be ordinance 20-14, an ordinance to amend to Farragut Code Chapter 22, Article 5, driveways and other access ways, Section 22-150, specifications, permanent access, access to and from property being developed as it relates to circular drives on corner lots with more than 350 feet of total frontage. Town of Farragut applicant.
Thank you, Mayor. This agenda item is something that the board recently granted a variance on regarding a circular drive in the Village Green subdivision. This ordinance would specify that properties with more than 350 feet of public road frontage and that front on more than one local street may be permitted a circular drive in lieu of a single access one on streets, provided that all the criteria for circular drives will be satisfied. There are no changes from first reading, and staff would recommend approval.
I'm going to move to approve.
I will second it.
Okay, any resident questions or comments?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll start with discussion, and we'll start out with Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, pass.
Alderman Pinchot.
Alderman Pinchot, pass.
Vice Mayor Pavlin.
Vice Mayor Pavlin, pass.
Okay, the mayor will pass this. Do we have Alderman Burnett yet? No, we don't. Okay, ordinance 20-15, an ordinance to amend to the Farragut Municipal Code, Chapter 113, Tree Protection Section 113-4, applicability as it relates to the provisions for utilities. Town of Farragut applicant.
Mayor, I'm sorry, we got to go back to the other one. We did not do a roll call vote.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, then we need to do one.
All right, Alderman Pavlin.
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Alderman Pinchuk,
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor, yes. Okay, let the record show ordinance 20-14 has been approved on the second reading. I'll reread the next ordinance 20-15, ordinance to amendment to Farragut Municipal Code, Chapter 113, Tree Protection, Section 113-4, applicability as it relates to the provisions for utilities. Town of Farragut applicant.
Mayor, the tree protection ordinance, there are several exemptions in the ordinance. And in order to account for potential impacts to the tree cover within or adjacent to public rights of way that are associated with new technologies that are also dependent on aerial transmission from new vertical utility structures, we looked and revisited section 113-4 of the ordinance. Some of the objectives included clarifying some of the coordination that may be required with the town for these activities, differentiating between existing and new utilities with regards to regulatory exemptions from the tree protection ordinance, and then clarifying exemptions from activities involving the construction and maintenance of vehicular and pedestrian infrastructure. All these changes were incorporated in first reading. There are no changes on second reading, and staff would recommend approval.
Need a motion, please?
To approve.
Alderman Pinchuk, I second it.
Okay. Any resident questions or comments?
No, sir.
Discussion. Start out with Vice Mayor Pavlik.
I have none.
Alderman Pinchuk.
Alderman Pinchuk, I pass.
Alderman Mayor.
Alderman Meyer, pass.
Okay. And Alderman Burnett. Don't have it. And the mayor will pass as well. I now ask the town recorder for a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Pinchuk,
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Alderman Pavlin,
Alderman Podlin, yes.
Alderman Meyer,
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show that ordinance 20-15 has been approved on the second reading. Okay. Okay, next we have an ordinance to review on public hearing will be on the first reading. It's ordinance 20-19, an ordinance amending the general fund and state street aid fund for the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget. It's passed on ordinance 20-07.
Yes, sir. The general fund will be amended by increasing the expenditures from $7.2 million to $7.3 million. And the difference of that is $30,000. And that is for the increase for the expansion of the Light the Park event towards I-40 and south towards Kingston Pike to allow for a walkable Light the Park experience and for greater social distancing opportunities due to COVID-19. The town will be requesting grant funding from the state of Tennessee for the expansion of this event. The second part is for the state street aid, and that is for resurfacing. Those expenditures will go from $1 million to $1.7 million. This is the resurfacing from fiscal year 20. It's in the past few years, we've done this for better bids, and to do this change, the resurfacing of the town streets typically spans multiple fiscal years. The resurfacing balance for FY20 was $1.2 million, and the resurfacing budget for FY21 will be amended from $800,000 to $1.5 million, which is an increase of $737,000. The remaining invoices for the previous year's contract will be paid in the current fiscal year, so the balance will be transferred from fiscal year 20 to 21. And the motion is to approve ordinance 2019 on first reading.
Motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Alderman Pinchuk, I second.
Okay. Any questions, comments from residents, please?
No, sir.
None? Okay. Discussion. We'll start out with Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, pass.
Alderman Pinchuk.
Alderman Pinchuk, I pass.
Mayor Pavlik.
Pass.
Alderman Burnett, still not in. The mayor, I have no questions at all, so I'll ask the town recorder to take a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Meyer,
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Alderman Pinchuk,
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Alderman Poplin,
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show ordinance 20-19 has been approved on the first reading. Okay, next we have just one business item on tonight's agenda. The approval of amendments to the town of Farragut traffic calming policy.
Good evening. In your packets, we placed an amended version of the town's traffic calming policy. The changes made were, they should reflect everything that was discussed in your workshop session back in August about the traffic calming policy. The biggest change, I guess the only real change is in the way we take the vote among the affected residents when we do one of these installations of traffic calming measures. If you look at the map that Allison has put up there, current policy, we require a 65% approval of all of the affected residents. Anyone that would be affected by placement of traffic calming measures. In this case, we're looking at speed humps. That's Hickorywood subdivision, just as for instance. We would require 65% approval of everyone who is within that zone, that area where the speeding was occurring, as well as anyone who would be driving across it on their way to and from their house. Anyone that would, in this case, live in the front of the subdivision would not be voting on the matter. With the revisions that we're looking at to the policy now, we want to split that into what we're calling the speed zone and the affected area. The affected area is everyone, just the way it is now, everyone including the speed zone as well as everyone above it. But within the area that we would expect to see improvements from traffic calming measures, we're calling that the speed zone. We want to revise the required thresholds that would approve these measures. We would want a 50% approval of the affected area that you can see. It's everything that's colored there, as well as a 65% approval of the speed zone. That's the area in green. So all that being said, now there were quite a few revisions. If you've tried to compare the traffic calming policy that was in your packets with the current policy, there have been quite a few revisions in the language, but it's mostly been a matter of cleaning up some of the cumbersome language, inserting a couple of definitions, and carrying it all the way through. So there are quite a few revisions, but the only real change in the policy is how we're conducting the vote. All that said, staff recommends approval.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to move to approve.
Alderman Pinchuk, I second.
Okay, town recorder, have we got any questions or comments on this particular agenda item?
Yes, sir, we do. We have a citizen comment from Rich Crompton. He's at 11118 Farragut Hills Boulevard. He writes, I'm writing to support the changes to the town's traffic calming policy. It only makes sense to give those directly impacted by speeding in the areas where traffic calming measures could be installed more so in the direction or the decision, sorry. Separating the speeding in the affected zones is a great solution. I hope the Concord Hills neighborhood strongly considers applying for traffic calming measures with these revisions in place for the sake of our residents who walk, run, and bike in our neighborhood. And that is the only comment for this agenda item.
Okay, great, good comment. We can move on to discussion, and we'll start out with Vice Mayor Pavlin.
Thank you, Mayor Williams. Darrell, I really appreciate your time you spent on this. I knew it was, I kind of pushed it to get cleaned up a little bit because of what happened with the Admiral View Farragut View neighborhood, sorry. And I know that Concord Hills has had some issues. I'm still going to struggle with this only because we're allowing the people that are actually doing the speeding a vote to continue to speed. So part of that seems unfair to me, but they are affected in a single entrance neighborhood. People are affected by speed humps. I know in neighborhoods where they have additional access points, I would like for us to be very conservative on what we consider the affected area. I'm thinking specifically of Farragut View because they really struggle with a lot of cut through traffic. And it's a continuing problem. They would not have met the threshold last time, but they were asking for a lot last time. So I've worked with Marty Schaffner on that one. And I know that they will look to come back and be a little bit more conservative in their request. So we just need to keep an eye on this policy and see how effective it is. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Vice Mayor. Alderman Pinchot?
I have nothing further to say. I pass.
Okay, Alderman Burnett is still not here. Alderman Meyer?
Alderman Meyer, pass.
Okay, I pretty well will pass as well. I think Vice Mayor Pavlin covered it pretty well there. It is something that we did need to change because there's a lot of areas that need to be looked at, but due to the folks that didn't want it would overwhelm ones that it was actually affecting. So I think this is a lot fairer than what it was. Yes, now I would ask the town reporter, please take a roll call vote.
Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Alderman Pinchot.
Alderman Pinchot, yes.
Alderman Pavlin.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show that amendments to the common policy has been approved as requested on the first reading. Okay, the town administrator's report.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This year, we typically do Taste of Farragut every year with the Farragut Business Alliance and Shop Farragut heading that up. This year, we've had to reimagine that a little bit with COVID-19 and the way that event usually ran. So this year, it's going to be on Sunday, October the 10th or October the 4th from 3 to 8 o'clock. Going to have live music, over 40 vendors, different places that people can buy food. It's a free event to get in this year. I know in past years you've had to purchase a ticket to get in. This year it's free to get in, but there are vendors and booths that you can purchase different items at or food items at too. So hope everybody can attend, have a good time, and just remember to wear your mask when you're in there in the event. So with that, that's all I have to report tonight, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And town attorney, looks like he's on the line in case we need him.
I'm here.
Okay, great.
I have no report, but I would like to make a quick comment, if I could, about a matter that has come up this week. If you would indulge me just for a moment.
Please.
There's been a substantial amount of conversation and confusion about over the past week of a matter that was presented to the Planning Commission at last week's meeting, which involved the adoption of a resolution by the Planning Commission that approved of some amendments to a portion of the comprehensive land use plan that the town adopts as a guideline or as a vision for the development of the town. And the suggestion has been made that the handling of that resolution at the Planning Commission's meeting last week was improper because certain comments that had been submitted by citizens were read during citizens' comments rather than during the discussion and action on the proposed amendments that were being to the comprehensive land use plan that were being considered by the Planning Commission. And to those, the suggestion that somehow that was improper or done improperly caused me to think that I should look into it, try to understand what happened, and make sure that that resolution was properly adopted. And keep in mind that that was a resolution. It was not a rezoning. It was not an amendment to an ordinance. It was simply the Planning Commission adopting a resolution saying we accept these changes to the comprehensive land use plan, which is not a legislative document. It's not like law. It's simply a guideline. When I looked into it, first thing I did is I looked at the comments that apparently were read at the end of the meeting and during citizens' comments rather than during the discussion. And I was somewhat surprised to see that all of the comments that apparently some people intended to relate to the resolution that had been considered earlier in the meeting, none of them mentioned the resolution. They all talked about the rezoning of property for the development of apartments at the old Kroger shopping center. Well, there wasn't a rezoning on the agenda to be considered by the Planning Commission. Actually, there was nothing about the development of apartments at that meeting that was under consideration. And so part of the issue here has to do with the fact that we're in this COVID situation and people are not present in the meetings. And therefore, when something comes up on the agenda, normally they would hop up and talk about it at that time. But because people submit their comments in advance, if there's not a clear indication that they want it read at a particular point in response to a particular thing on the agenda, judgments are made by the town staff about whether they're citizens' comments or whether they're directly related to a matter on the agenda. And in this case, you read the comments, they had really nothing to do at all with the resolution to amend the comprehensive land use plan, and therefore they were read at the end of the meeting. And that has caused concern from some people who apparently, at least in their mind, thought they were commenting on the amendments to the comprehensive land use plan when in fact they were not. They were commenting on their either opposition to or support of the plan that is being discussed and being worked on by the town staff to possibly develop the old Kroger shopping center property and the Biddle property. So I just wanted to assure everybody that there was nothing improper, nothing inappropriate, nothing illegal about the way in which the resolution was adopted. For those people who want to oppose the apartments that may be under consideration at some point in the future, if a final plan is ever submitted, there's going to be all kinds of opportunity to come to any number of meetings to comment on how you feel about that development. I would just like to urge everybody to keep an open mind, understand what is being considered. We have a lot of different types of actions that the town takes. The Planning Commission and the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, sometimes they adopt resolutions, sometimes they adopt rezonings, sometimes they amend ordinances. It all depends on what the matter is as to whether it's really anything that is legislative in nature. What was happening with this resolution was nothing legislative. It was simply a resolution saying they approved of the amendments that were not directly related at all to the apartment possibilities for that property. So I just wanted to make clear that I've reviewed it, I've looked into it, everything is fine and copacetic. It's not a problem. So if y'all have any questions for me, I would be more than happy to take them. But I just felt like when I hear things like the suggestion that somehow the town is not properly presenting things or is not being transparent. I've been doing this for a little over 20 years now, and I have never been involved in any matter involving the town where I felt like the elected officials were not being anything but completely transparent and trying to do the best they can do. It does not help the operation of government move well or work well when people, and I realize it's a challenge with the pandemic right now. You can't be in person and it's difficult to submit your comments and all of that. But I think we need to ratchet down the tension and the anger a little bit, and let's try to be a little bit more civil, like it's always been the case in the town of Farragut. And I thank you for letting me make those comments.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Please stand by if we have any other questions in case we do it later on. So that pretty well concludes that part of our meeting. And now, pursuant to the governor's current executive order, we ask that all Farragut citizens' comments be emailed to comments@townoffarragut.org, which must, along with their names and addresses, be received by 12 p.m. the day of the meeting to be included in the record of that night's meeting. They must also abide by the public forum protocol to be read into the record. I'll now ask the town recorder to please read in all eligible comments or questions with a 5-minute time limit on each subject, please.
Yes, sir. Our first one is from Rich Crompton at 11118 Farragut Hills Boulevard. It says, I'm writing in support of the proposed development of the old Farragut property, or old Kroger property. There is plenty of negative buzz around impacts to traffic, schools, and property values. Some have merit, while others have been discussed at length, and mitigations are planned. To focus on the positive, I see the town center and future connection to the recently developed Gamble Station Inn area a huge benefit to Farragut citizens. Creating a walkable, family-friendly environment can have a huge draw to new citizens, and housing options aside from single-family homes has been planned for this area and only makes sense. I'd like to see smaller shops, restaurants, arts, entertainment occupy the new commercial areas where residents can enjoy time with their friends and family. It would be a very welcome change to the types of retail you find in Turkey Creek and surrounding areas. Being directly across from several local schools, we give students and families areas to gather before and after school, as well as before and after performing art and sporting events. The town could host new types of events in the new town center area, and the green space and walking paths will be a welcome change to what currently resides on the property. And that is from Mr. Crompton. Our second speaker is Patrick Lee. He's at 405 Ensign Lane. He says, I just read the Farragut Press, and I'm disappointed and frustrated that the people of Concord Hills were completely ignored last Thursday in the Farragut Planning Commission meeting regarding the item about text amendment, the old Kroger Biddle Farm apartment proposal. The Planning Commissioner said there were comments to be read before the vote was held. However, the email comments from the people from Concord Hills were not read until after the vote was held. They were actually read in Citizens Forum at the end of the meeting. I believe the state law was broken, and I request this item be revoted in the next Farragut Planning Commission meeting. Is it necessary for the Farragut residents to hire a lawyer to begin to get the Planning Commission to obey the law? Our next one is Lori Macadello. It's 11422 Hawkstone Lane. Says, I have been a resident of the town of Farragut for nearly 12 years. The Kroger Biddle Farm property has been vacant and an eyesore for most of that time. While I'm much in favor of that property being developed into something more appealing, and I like the idea of a town center, I'm not sure the apartments being proposed are the best use of the property. Farragut has very little affordable housing for first-time home buyers, single adults, and small families. Instead of rental apartments, how about put in condos and townhouses that can be purchased as entry-level homes? With interest rates so low, house payments will likely be less than an apartment rent, so likely more affordable to those needing housing but unable to afford a large home in the subdivision in Farragut. Ownership versus tenancy. Tenancy will cause the people living there to take more pride in the property and take better care of it, as well as better care of the amenities planned for the community. I believe affordable condos and townhouses versus apartments would be a better investment in the town of Farragut and would do a lot more than an apartment complex to keep the property values in Farragut strong and healthy. Our next one is Blake Ford at 11037 Crosswind. I'm a resident of Concord Hills in Farragut. I'm very much opposed to the high-density apartment proposal with regard to the town center. Next one is Hayden Oakley at 11103 Crown Point. Dear Board of Mayor and Aldermen, please do not move forward with the rezoning of the property for high-density housing related to the town center. There is not a consensus from town residents on this. Surveys of residents wanting a town center does not mean they want a large apartment complex to make that happen. Town residents should have more opportunity for feedback on the specific transformational proposed projects. Even the McPhee Park expansion had significantly more feedback opportunity regarding proposed plans. The traffic and school crowding concerns have not been properly addressed. Please listen to your residents and constituents instead of deciding that you know what is best for us. We can do better as a town than the proposed project. There is not a need to rush this through during a pandemic, which is limiting community involvement and the decision making. Thank you. The next one is Hal Akins at 10901 Lookout Point. I join my Concord Hills and Farragut neighbors in expressing outrage in the way which our town Board of Mayor and Aldermen have handled the rezoning of the old Kroger and Biddle Farms properties. You are supposed to represent the citizens of Farragut and at least give us a voice before making such impactful decisions. I don't believe anyone would object to the proper development of the properties in question. However, the proposed construction of this apartment complex would totally change the nature of our city and its attributes that attracted its residents and business owners here in the first place. It is only proper at this juncture that you revote the issue and at least delay any forward progress on this rezoning application until more studies and better resident input are obtained. I will restate my original email opposing the rezoning, as I understand this was not read prior to the vote being taken. We would like to express strong opposition to the proposed rezoning of the old Kroger Biddle Farms property that would permit the construction of high-density apartment units on that site. As residents of Farragut for 29 years, we cannot imagine the impact of introducing 291 60-foot high apartment buildings into our neighborhood and our community. Has anyone given consideration to the effect of approximately 500 additional cars flowing out into the surrounding roads? We already have trouble getting out of our Concord Hills subdivision due to the traffic backup at the Concord Road, Campbell Station Road traffic light, which regularly extends to Kingston Pike. In late afternoon, we often have to keep driving west to Campbell Station Road to circle back to Concord Road to be able to enter Concord Hills. Where will the extra traffic line up into Kingston Pike? In addition to traffic problems that we believe is a nightmare waiting to happen, we are also concerned that the high-density apartments located at the center of the town would change the very nature of the area and where the diversity of housing styles and value of Farragut subdivisions is what attracted us and others here in the first place. Please do not permit this to be destroyed through rezoning. Thank you. He also states, in closing, I implore you to please do the right thing for the Farragut citizens. Once a development like this gets started, there's no turning back, and it will bring about regretful changes at a tremendous cost. What's next? Busy thoroughfares, overcrowded schools, a need for our own police force. Farragut would never lose its unique reason for being incorporated in the first place. Historically, zoning decisions have seemed to be compatible with the original vision. But with decisions like this, we may as well be annexed into the city of Knoxville. Please do not let this happen. Our next one's Mike Mitchell at 716 Brooksworth Boulevard. I'm writing in protest to last week's Farragut Planning Commission meeting where the people of Farragut were ignored on the vote on the text amendments on the proposed 280 apartments at the old Kroger across from the high school and middle school. 29 Concord Hills and Farragut residents emailed the Planning Commission, and they were not heard until after the vote. That is a clear violation of the Tennessee Open Meetings Act. If that was not bad enough, the amendments Vice Mayor Louise Coblin made affected other parcels in Farragut and were not publicly noticed in the Planning Commission's agenda as required by state law. The Planning Commission is required by state law to hear the citizens. That did not happen. I want this item to be revoted according to the laws of our state. I object to the way agendas are written so as to give the least amount of information to the residents. Below is an example. The agenda for the staff developers is clear. The agenda for the residents is not clear. Please stop doing this. The residents deserve the same clarity as the town staff and developers. It's an example from the agenda for the staff developer Tuesday, September 1st, the FMPC items. It's discussion with CLUP and zoning related text amendments associated with the redevelopment of the old Kroger property. Farragut Town Center at Biddle Farms, and it states the parcels, the 45 acres, and site incorporated applicant. The agenda for the public Farragut Municipal Planning Commission dated September 17th is discussion and public hearing on amendments to the text of the comprehensive land use plan update as it relates to the mixed use town center and use descriptions. And that's the town of Farragut applicant. Our next one is Nicole Barbie at 406 Monitor Lane. Hello, I live in Concord Hills and received notice they are planning to vote on to allow a large apartment complex to be built at the old Kroger versus the stores with apartments above them they originally said years ago, and when they started the town center discussion. The location cannot support the additional traffic from close to 300 apartments across from the schools and will make our neighborhood impossible to get out of, as well as decrease property value in addition to the apartments. I have never been asked about a survey or anyone in my direct family, all in the Farragut area as well, Old Sage Hills, Glen Abbey, and Village Green. I hope the town decides to vote on the plans again, since the majority of the town is against the revised apartment plan. Our next one is Alan Connie Fanjoy at 11136 Crown Point. I'm adamantly opposed against the rezoning of this area. We already have too much traffic on Concord Road. I live in Concord Hills, and certain times of the day, it takes at least 5 to 8 minutes to get out of our neighborhood. The addition of more students at already overcrowded Farragut schools is also an issue not mentioned. The danger added traffic would be to these students. We don't need more buildings in this immediate area. There are already vacancies up and down Kingston Pike and Farragut. Adding more is not a solution. Farragut has always been a stickler for not too many or too high or too big signs to take away from the beauty of the area. This proposed project would most definitely change the beauty of our town. Our next one is Mike and Mary Sneed at 11130 Crown Point. It says, folks, we oppose the old Kroger / farm apartments. Residents of Farragut live here because of the quality of life. Developers know this and build out remaining farmland and put it upon the town to pay for massive infrastructure to service their growth. Residents already voiced their opposition to low-cost apartments along Concord Road, and now the effort flips to the Kroger farmland. Traffic is already a snarl on the unfinished Concord Road construction, which is over budget and late on completion. Traffic will become immense in the town center and bad at the entrance to Concord Hills, where the cemetery would prevent road expansion. I suggest making the Kroger farmland into a park following other successful parks in the town. Next one is Rich Hoffman at 403 Ensign Lane. What is this talk in the Farragut press today that the Farragut residents who are against the 280 apartments across from the high school and middle school are anti-town center voices. This is a generalization that is not true. Town center would be great. I think the town should have input to what kind of residential we would like to see. Condos would be great, but rental apartments will ultimately bring the value of our down the value of our neighborhood. No thanks. We are for the town center, but against these apartments. The amendments the Vice Mayor made last Thursday in the Planning Commission were not on the agenda. The amendment stating only this parcel could be a town center will instantly depreciate Eddie Ford's property and other surrounding properties. No one can make sweeping changes like that when they are not noticed on the Planning Commission's agenda. Traffic is bad on Concord Road up and down from Campbell Station and to Kingston Pike. This doesn't even mention how bad the road gets north of Kingston Pike during school traffic. If you've had kids in the middle school and high school and drive Concord Road, you will understand this. Pushing 280 apartments into this road only increases the problem. No, 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 no to rental apartments. We need a revote with informed voters who understand what the town really wants. The next one's Dustin Mills at 500 Smith Road. I would like it to be known that I'm against the apartment development proposed for the Kroger site in the town of Farragut. I feel the Farragut officials should take into account our issues with the existing infrastructure, schools, communities, and the lack of police presence in Farragut while entertaining all current and future proposals for high-density living developments in the town of Farragut, regardless of where they are proposed. I would also like it to be known that I am not anti-apartment. I feel apartments serve a purpose for communities, but I find it irresponsible to haphazardly place them into communities where pre-existing issues with overcrowding and lack of law enforcement are present. Thank you for your time. P.S. I did not receive a flyer for the proposal like some of the community members have reported. My mailbox has been smashed several times this week for unknown reasons. I'm not sure whether a flyer was mailed and then lost or mailed at all. Last year, a drunk driver drove over my hedge destroying several large skip laurel bushes, and the right-of-way in front of my home is continually being destroyed by vehicles swerving off the road at night. During the evenings on any given night, I can provide you video footage of dozens of vehicles recklessly disregarding stop signs at the crosswalk on our road. I say at night, not because it doesn't happen through the day, but because you can clearly exhibit the lack of brake lights, meaning the stop sign is being completely disregarded altogether. I feel like the town of Farragut should take more steps to increase police presence within the town of Farragut to better protect our existing community before increasing its capacity. Thank you. Next one is Rich Crawley at 11121 Hewlin Drive. Dear town of Farragut, I'm a resident of Thornton Heights subdivision in Farragut. The proposed idea for a mixed-use center, including the apartments, is unacceptable to myself and many residents. We do not need more apartments in the area and will drastically affect the traffic flow and peaceful nature of the area. Also, you are not having regular board meetings per COVID-19 guidelines. I'm suggesting to citizens of the area to sign a petition so that voices are heard. Our next one is Jay Ferguson at 10840 Farragut Hills Boulevard. Good morning. The handling of the drastic change to Farragut is very troubling. I'm a resident of Concord Hills and understand our email input was not provided prior to last week's vote. How can we as Farragut residents trust our voice is being heard by our elected officials? My personal opinion is I'm open to change, but as a civil engineer and professional project manager, change has to look at all areas of concern and potential impact. I never saw this survey. Was it conducted by a third party, or was it designed to drive responses in the desired direction of the developer and interest of those who will reap the financial gains? I support change and beautification of our town, even the idea being proposed. But with this change, I would like to understand the plans for the town of Farragut to accommodate the already overcrowding schools and unsafe traffic volumes within this proposed area. These two items alone, if addressed first, may make this development more acceptable to town residents and improve overall the experience of those who come here to enjoy the center. Please take the time to do this in the right sequence and truly reach out and show that town residents' voices count and are applied to the town's decisions and plans. And that concludes our citizen comments.
Okay. Tom, is there any other comments that you need to make concerning what we've heard?
Let me just say this. All of these people clearly use the internet. They've sent their comments in by email. The town has a website. The website has the agenda for every meeting that the town has, Planning Commission, Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and there is dramatic amounts of detail in those packets that you can access on the internet. If you have any doubt about what's being considered by the board, or if you hear rumors, all you have to do is go to the website and pull up the agenda and go to the item and read what it's about. If you do that based on what was happening at last week's Planning Commission meeting, what you'll find is exactly what I told you. There was some amendments proposed to the comprehensive land use plan that don't mention one word about a rezoning or approval of apartments. So everybody can rest assured that there was no approval of an apartment project at last week's meeting. There is a long process of developing a project like this. There will be multiple meetings of plans being submitted to both the Planning Commission and then at some point to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, depending upon what all happens. But there's plenty of opportunity for people to come and voice their concerns. But because of COVID, I think if you'll go to the agenda on the website and find the item and see what's being considered, I think it'll help you know whether what you're hearing rumors about is in fact what's being considered for approval. The suggestion in these emails that somehow the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, the Planning Commission, are trying to surreptitiously approve this development without getting any input from the citizens is just simply not an accurate statement of what has happened. And please know that you're going to have plenty of opportunity to voice your opinion about this development if it ever gets presented fully. There's just lots of things that have to go into the planning for this, and nothing has been approved as it relates to this development that you seem to be concerned about. And that's all I would like to assure people of, is that if you're opposed to these apartments, there are going to be meetings that directly consider the type of development it is, and it'll be in the public, but you do need to keep your eye on what's going on in the town. So all too often, the staff and the elected officials of the town and the appointed officials spend months and months and months working on the review and improvement of projects, and then it's in the newspaper every week what's being considered, and then when after everybody's spent a lot of money and time and effort considering a development, then everybody comes out and at the last minute and acts like nothing's been going on about this forever. Well, the reality is, if you read the newspaper, you can find out pretty much what all's going on in the town, and then you can get on the website and see the agenda and the detailed packet that comes out really before every meeting. So let's ratchet down the tension here a little bit, take some steps to figure out what's on the agenda. And by all means, this is what makes the town of Farragut so great. I mean, it's democracy in action. People show up and they give their input. That's not going to change, and it hadn't changed. It's just sometimes I think a lot of people are, kind of not paying much attention, and then when they hear a rumor, then everybody overreacts. And I have to say, I think that's a little bit what's going on here. So don't worry, nothing's been approved, and it's probably a long way from any development here being approved, just because the process is so detailed and time consuming and painstaking, and you have every opportunity to voice your concerns. Thank you for letting me speak.
Okay, thank you, Tom. If no one else has anything they want to present, I have to agree with Tom. Education is the foundation of opinion. So if we can be educated, I think we can all learn. The time is approximately 8 p.m. and without objection, the September 24th, 2020 Farragut Board Mayor and Alderman meeting is now adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.